The ministry is keenly monitoring the situation, but was categorical that learners already in schools will not be sent back home.
As we work with our colleagues in the Ministry of Health, we work with our colleagues in the Ministry of Interior, we shall monitor the behavior of the virus. When it is optimum that we can return the other children to school, we shall go there. But we shall be very reluctant, extremely reluctant. And it is not in our thoughts that the children who are already in school, we shall tell them to go back home.
Kamche Menza for Channel 1 News.
Still on health matters, President Uhuru Kenyatta has unveiled a raft of policy interventions aimed at fast-tracking the national rollout of the universal health coverage pillar of the Big Four agenda. They include an essential health benefit package set to be rolled out from January next year, through which Kenyan households will have access to health services for an annual fee of 6,000 shillings. The package under the newly reformed Universal Health Insurance Coverage Program includes cancer and mental health treatment, in addition to the services covered by the National Health Insurance Fund. As Njue Karisa reports, the government will cushion 1.2 million vulnerable households under the program upon the completion of the countrywide biometric registration, which was launched today in Mombasa.
Since the rollout of the pilot phase of the universal health coverage 2 years ago, over 2 million Kenyans have been parting with 4,000 shillings annually charged per household to access basic health services. The pilot phase of the UHC program, covering counties Machakos, Nyeri, Isiolo and Kisumu, has however not been without challenges. At the conclusion of the Health Sector Intergovernmental Forum on the Universal Health Coverage Forum in Mombasa, the government reaffirmed its commitment to provide quality and affordable health care for citizens by adding more incentives to the already existing package. Beginning January 2021, each household will reap more benefits from an enhanced medical cover.
The package covers several areas: emergency services and cancer treatment, as well as ensuring that we take care of the mental health of our people.
13 counties have already begun the mandatory biometric registration of individuals, with priority given to 1.2 million families that cannot raise the annual 6,000 shillings fee.
The use of biometric technology in healthcare will ensure that we authenticate patient identity prior to treatment, and through this simple act alone, we will drastically reduce fraud in health insurance, reduce the cost in maintenance, and importantly, improve the management of treatment.
The incentives are part of new reforms under the National Hospital Insurance Fund that has been faulted by county bosses who are demanding the standardization of services offered under the scheme across
30%. And at the national level, we also expect you to set aside a fund, specifically where funds will flow there if need be.
I want to urge, especially our members of parliament, don't delay us by unnecessary debates. We all know where we want to go. What we want now is to begin delivering.
President Uhuru Kenyatta putting on notice rogue individuals working in the health sector, calling for the speedy automation of procurement systems at the Ministry of Health, Kenya Medical Supplies Agency and the National Hospital Insurance Fund.
If you do not handle these funds with the care and caution that it requires, some of us will go to very extreme lengths to ensure that you shall regret it for the rest of your lives.
During the pilot phase of the UHC program, 208 community health facilities were established and 1,100 healthcare staff were recruited and deployed to level 2 to level 5 hospitals countrywide. Njue Karisa for Channel 1 News Weekend.
Moving on, Deputy President William Ruto has cautioned the criminal justice system against being misused to engage in political witch hunting to settle selfish political scores. Ruto was in Njue, said the fight against corruption must be fair and not skewed to demonize some leaders holding divergent views for vested political interests. Speaking at Kayaba grounds in Mathira constituency in Njue County, during a youth empowerment program, Dr. Ruto challenged the judicial justice system to ensure fairness and transparency while discharging their duties.
Na mimi nataka niwaulize wale ambao wanatumia the criminal justice system kufanya siasa. Hakuna makosa Mheshimiwa Rigathi amefanya. Hii ni siasa, hiyo mambo yote, hiyo makesi yote, hakuna kesi ya mambo ya criminality, hiyo kesi yote ni kesi ya siasa.
The Deputy President said it was wrong for some individuals to use the DCI and police to threaten and intimidate some leaders to achieve their selfish ends.
I want to ask the criminal justice system to refuse to be used by politicians to settle political scores or to advance political causes. Kama kuna mtu unataka siasa, wewe kuja shindana na Rigathi Gachagua. Wacha kumwekea kesi. Wacha kumletea mambo ya disi.
On the Building Bridges Initiative report, Ruto called for a decent debate and inclusion of all Kenyans for the sake of a united country.
Na tunaomba kwa unyenyekevu ya kwamba wakati tunaongea mambo ya BBI, jameni tutafute vile tunaweza kuelewana. Tunataka kuelewana mambo ya IBC. Hatutaki IBC yenye si independent.
Area legislator Rigathi Gachagua said he was being frustrated by DCI because of his political stand to work with the deputy president, saying no amount of intimidation would change his political stand.
And let me tell those who are trying to intimidate me that the people of Mandera can fear. You are making the situation worse. Hawa watu ya Mandera wanaweza kuchukia serikali kwa sababu ya kudetesa.
Elsewhere, a section of Western Kenya leaders are calling for a national dialogue to review the recommendations of the Building Bridges Initiative report. The group faulting the report formula on the distribution of 70 new constituencies to be created, saying one region will be overrepresented and is a scheme to hand an individual the Prime Minister's position.
The proposal to create new 70 constituencies has caused a sharp division among the political class after emerging that half of the number will be subdivided among counties in one region. The political class now saying the adopted formula will leave the country more divided, hence insisting on the need to have a national dialogue to review the recommendations.
Lakini ile kitu ambaye mimi nakasirika naye, of the 70 constituencies, almost 43 zinaenda region moja kule Mount Kenya. Western region, we are only given 5. Central, 43.
The leaders saying the additional 70 seats being proposed by the BBI should be shared equally among the counties or be done away with altogether.
Kama hizo slots haitakanywa every county wapate equal shares, tunasema ikwende kabisa. Kama county ya Kericho tunataka tupate sawa na Kiambu, tunataka tupate sawa na Murang'a, tunataka tupate sawa na watu wa Kilifi, tunataka tupate sawa na watu wa Masaini.
Well, in Kajiado, Jacob Kioko, who claims that he will be seeking the presidency in 2022 election, is calling on politicians to apply fairness and ensure everybody's views are captured in the Building Bridges Initiative report for the country to move in one direction. Kioko says with soberness and politicians lowering their egos, grey areas in the document can sufficiently be addressed to save the country's further division.
If it is passed, it will be passed by those who feel it's the right thing, because I don't think the ordinary man is going to get his ideas factored in.
Well, a lobby group calling itself the Western Elite Association claims the BBI report has not captured the issues of the citizens. The group faulting the BBI steering committee for not considering communities living in the areas with vast mineral resources, saying there was a need to have 10% of the proceeds shared to the communities.
Inabidi mjadala upigwe msasa upya ili wale ambao wanajihisi kwamba hawakuhusishwa vilivyo ama hata wale ambao walihusishwa lakini maoni yao inaonekana hayakutia dafu wapate angalau fursa nyingine ya kueleza labda kulikuwa na pahali ambapo hawako wamejieleza kinagaubaga.
Well, the Nurses Union have threatened to marshal its members to reject the proposals if their recommendation to have Health Commission created is not considered.
That without the Health Service Commission in BBI, we the health workers, plus the common mwananchi, ambao wanasema kwa street kwamba health irudi kwa national government, tutaungana na hawa wananchi wa kawaida na kuhakikisha kwamba BBI sisi tunaiangusha asubuhi na mapema.
This as people living with disability in Uasin Gishu County are lamenting that they stand to lose their rights if the report is adopted as it is.
Omba rais na kamati ambayo ilihusika na waziri mkuu ambao tunawapatia heshima kuu, the 50% ya BBI tunajua kwamba ilikuwa sawa, but the 50% ukiangalia nyingine imewacha mtu wa chini kabisa.
Suleiman Yeri, Channel 1 News.
Indeed, you're watching Channel 1 Weekend, and before we take our first short quick break, allow me to appreciate Florence Dora watching news while waiting for the movie because your programs are the best. Thank you so much. Ronald Kiprotich Kasumbei tuned in from Bomet, tuned in and watching from Quisero, Kakamega. Kelviano Consley, Victor Marciaya watching the show from Alego, Siaya County. Collins Ja Western tuned in from Homa Bay. Brayton Gitahi tuned in, and also Pure Jobs tuned from Embu County. Purity Wawera. Let's take our first quick short break, but we'll be right back.
The procedure of reporting assets to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority simplified in the following easy steps. Step 1. Write an email to holders at ufaa.go.ke to request your profile to be created. Step 2. A link will be sent to the email provided for activation of the account. Step 3. Click on the link to activate the profile and change the password immediately. Step 4. For subsequent access, use the link provided here. In case of forgotten password, use Forgot Password link to create a new one. Step 5. After login, click on Assets to submit records, and if the client has subsidiary, you can create more users and manage users. Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. Receive, safeguard, reunite.
My primary school life was difficult, but my mom struggled and I managed to finish the class age 2016. I knew back in my heart that when I was getting a scholarship, I couldn't make it for the high school. My friend told me all benefit of Wings to Fly, scholarship, school fees, shopping, transport. I knew that there's no any option to get the school fees. That's why I went to apply the scholarship. My mom was called back and told that Edwin got the scholarship. I knew it that my dreams would come to pass. 2020, when the coronavirus pandemic came, I was very, very worried about my KCC, but Wings to Fly gave us light system and the radio that we will continue lessons with it. Now I can read at night and wake up very early in the morning, like 4, to go through my books. Before I got the scholarship, it was like darkness was before me. But when I got the Wings to Fly scholarship, light has come to my life, and I am sure that by God's grace, I will go to the best university in this world, which is Oxford, to partake medicine and surgery, and I can see my future being very, very good.
this weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Mimi si kwamba nadharau advice yako, lakini kitu kimoja Yusuf, uelewi kuwa mimi ni mwanasiasa. I'm a politician.
Dad kidogo. Wewe ufanya nini hapa?
Huyu ni mgeni wangu hapo kwenye uchana.
Kila kitu imeisha.
Welcome back. We are glad you are watching. Moving on, the fate of candidates nominated by President Uhuru Kenyatta to fill 15 ambassadorial positions now await the verdict of the National Assembly's Defense and Foreign Relations Committee. This is after the last two contestants were vetted by the committee chaired by Kato Ole Metito. Consequently, the committee has retreated to deliberate on the outcomes of the interview and prepare a report to be tabled on Tuesday next week when the National Assembly resumes plenary sittings. Ben Chumba with that report.
Karibu sana, and
my name is Lindsay Kiptines.
Lindsay Kiptines, who was nominated as Kenya's ambassador to Thailand, and Joshua Gatimu, who was nominated as Kenya's ambassador to Iran, were the last nominees to be vetted on Saturday. They now await their fate alongside 13 others who appeared before the National Assembly Defense and Foreign Relations Committee on Thursday and Friday. Unlike their fellow nominees who appeared in person before the panelists, Kiptines and Gatimu were interviewed virtually by the Kato Ole Metito-led committee.
You also recall the situation in India, where we had so many sick Kenyans who are coming home. We worked together with you and other stakeholders to bring Kenyans home, as well as in China, in Pakistan, in Egypt, and several other countries. In total, we worked together to bring home over 5,000 Kenyans during the height of the COVID-19.
Citing his achievements as a Foreign Service Officer at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Lindsay Kiptines told the committee he was the best man for the posting in Bangkok.
What are some of the specific areas that you think you are likely to explore so that Kenya benefits from your posting and also from that mission in Bangkok?
We have a lot of land in Tana River and Kano Plains and other parts of the country that we can enhance rice production. Thailand has perfected technology on rice production, as well as Vietnam and Laos and Cambodia. These are areas that I intend to pursue in terms of cooperation in rice production as well as other sectors in agriculture.
However, Kiptines soon found himself in an awkward position after previous messages posted on his Twitter account resurfaced to haunt him.
And then you also see him as an ambassador. You don't have a lot of latitude to go commenting on social media on international politics because you are within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. You are a diplomat. But you seem to have a problem with the US. You keep on saying the Americans are not tired of wars around the world. You seem also to have an issue, I don't need to quote it to know your account, with the UK about the current Prime Minister Johnson, when you say he was taught a lesson by the Supreme Court. So I'm trying to look, are you a fellow within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or somebody who has just been picked from out there? Because you know, when you're a diplomat, you choose your words very carefully.
I may have become too personal or emotional on some of the issues, and we all make mistakes, and of course, from your comments, I stand corrected. Now that I've been nominated to a very pedestal position, I will have to choose my words, I will have to choose my comments, so that ultimately I promote the national interest, the national strategic interests of the Republic of Kenya.
The committee will spend the rest of the weekend assessing the suitability of the 15 nominees and then make recommendations to be discussed by their colleagues in the National Assembly when plenary sittings resume on Tuesday next week after a short recess. Ben Chumba, reporting for Channel 1 News.
Moving on, more than 500 farmers in Mandera County are counting losses after River Dawa burst its banks following heavy rains in neighboring Ethiopia. The farmers who had invested in vegetables and fruit farming said the floods hit at the worst time when they were almost harvesting their fields. Mandera town, which is a few kilometers away from the river, is also at a risk of flooding.
Hundreds of acres of land under vegetable and fruit farming in Mandera County have been marooned by waters following heavy rains in neighboring Ethiopia. River Dawa, which flows from Ethiopia, has burst its banks, and the more than 500 farmers in Mandera who had invested in onions, tomatoes and mangoes have little to salvage.
Mumea yote ambayo tumepanda, ambayo tulikuwa tumeanza kuvuna nyanya, kitunguu, mahindi, yote imeoza. Umeoza, hata mwenye kutaka kuangalia anaweza kuja katika shamba waangalie saa huu.
Ingine ile naiva iko ndani ya maji, hiyo kuna kushasagwa kama mashine ya mahindi. Hiyo sasa hata hawezi patikana. Mahindi nkuchaenda, mapipe pia.
Temporary structures along the river have neither been spared.
Wacha watu kidogo ambao wanalima kilo 20, kilo 30, wacha hizi kwanza ni karibu watu 500 hivi. Lakini hawa ndio wamesarika kubwa sana. Kila mmoja amelima karibu kilo 200, 120, 130 hivi.
Locals now want the county and national governments to intervene before the waters get to Mandera town, a few kilometers from the flooding river.
Sisi nataka usaidizi. Sasa engine yote, hata shamba yangu peke yake engine 5 iko juu. Engine yote imeenda na maji. Kila kitu, hii Mandera County yote hakuna shamba sasa iko engine yote imeenda.
Mandera Central Assistant County Commissioner Mike Wangila says his team is surveying the area to ensure the situation does not affect homes.
Mengi maribika, BP1, Markasuftu, na tunakadiria kwamba vitu ambavyo vimeharibika ni vingi sana.
The Kenya Meteorological Department is warning of more rains in the month of November. According to the weatherman, the northern parts of Kenya will largely be affected because of the heavy rains being experienced in neighboring Ethiopia and Somalia. This is attributed to the convergence of southeast and northeast winds that usually form the rainfall during this time of the year. Irene Mchuma Udim, Channel 1.
And plans to register community land parcels are on course with the Ministry of Lands, targeting 347 group ranches across the country and about 60 unregistered community land. This comes as 2 group ranches in Laikipia County became the first in the country to acquire title deeds under the new Community Land Act of 2016. Lands Cabinet Secretary Farida Karonei says the 2 groups have set the stage for others in the country to follow suit in conforming to the new law.
The 2 group ranches in Laikipia County, Ilngwesi and Musul groups received their title deeds from the Lands Ministry in a move that seeks to realize the Community Land Act of 2016. The 2 groups are the first to benefit under this law.
Today, we celebrate the 2 communities in Laikipia, Ilngwesi and Musul, which have walked the journey and successfully registered their community land, measuring 8,675.5 and 2,646.0 hectares, respectively.
This financial year, the Ministry of Lands intends to implement a registration of 347 group ranches and about 60 unregistered community lands.
So far, we have sensitized about 25,000 participants through a national program for public education and awareness creation as required by the law. We are optimistic that these sensitization programs have equipped communities with the knowledge on the Act. This should enable them prepare for registration of their community land.
Already, public education on the law has been carried out in 24 counties, with communities expressing emerging challenges, among them inter- and intra-county boundary conflicts, financial constraints, fear of marginalization, and discrimination. Development partners such as Food and Agriculture Organization FAO, supporting the registration process, observe it will ensure transparency in management and engagement of historical rights.
And through these community land plans, you will now be able to take full responsibility for planning how to sustainably use your land in order to ensure that you can prosper and ensure food on the table and education for your children.
A project is looking into infusing issues of gender, youth, disability within matters land. And a project is looking at also digitizing the matters land, and that is why we have the GIS laboratory.
Laikipia County leaders have challenged the communities that have acquired title deeds to now take advantage of improved methods of cattle farming in advancing their livelihoods.
Hiyo ndio itatuwezesha kuwa na mifugo wengi tena wa faida tukitumia sehemu ndogo ya shamba letu. Najua haijakuwa desturi yetu hapo zamani ati kupanda nyasi.
The Community Land Act of 2016 specifies that community land shall vest in and be held by communities, providing for recognition, protection, and a registration of community land rights to enable them develop the land. Kamche Menza for Channel 1 News.
A family in Nairobi is appealing to well-wishers to help them raise 5 million shillings to enable their 1-year-old son undergo a liver transplant in India. Baby Baraka was born with Allergies syndrome and requires urgent liver transplant to save his life. Take a look. Brian Jones Baraka may seem like a normal child until you take a closer look at him. He was born with a rare liver disorder and has a history of jaundice since birth.
After nilizaa nikapewa mtoto, nilizaa through emergency CS nikapewa mtoto. So kupewa mtoto I realized the eyes were yellow. So kuulizia daktari aliniambia niende nyumbani ni msunbathe itaisha. So when I went home nikamsunbathe haikuisha.
The family has made numerous trips to hospitals seeking treatment and is now seeking help from well-wishers for him to undergo an urgent liver transplant in India to rectify the disorder.
We are dealing with a certain gastrologist called Dr. Muiva in Kenyatta. So akatuambia this is a genetic it's like a genetic process, a disorder, yeah. So we should consider liver transplant because there is nothing there's nothing more they can do. Medication can't help. Unafaa kupeleka mtoto India akafanyiwe transplant. So from there ndio ilinihit ilituhit kabisa, ndio tukaanza kufikiria what do we do.
The mother, who is the donor, lost her source of income due to the current coronavirus pandemic, and the family finances have been heavily strained by medical bills.
For now, we've settled with the hospital. We've tried to negotiate, and hiyo cost yenye itatunini yote ni 5 million.
The journey has been a bit tough given the financial situation, the happenings of the economy and the COVID. Since he was born, we have been in and out of the hospital. Imefika mahali wenye now we need your help in terms of mobilizing some funds which are required for the transplant in India, which is approximate. We are working with around 5 million.
Donations to assist Baraka can be channeled through M-Pesa paybill number 786020, account Baby Baraka, or via Easy Pay number 763766, account number 519431. Let me say I had the opportunity to meet baby Baraka earlier in the day. He's so bubbly and full of life. Let's just use our Kenyan spirit to help him lead a normal life. Moving on, over 100,000 trees have been planted to mark the first anniversary of Masai Mau forest restoration. Elsewhere in Maralal, over 3,000 liters of illicit brews have been destroyed in Loikas village, Samburu County. Details of this and other stories in our county news roundup.
Environment and Forestry Cabinet Secretary Keriako Tobiko has dismissed claims that Masai Mau evictions are targeting a certain community, saying a restoration of the water towers in the area is being undertaken to promote reforestation. He was speaking when he led a tree planting exercise to mark the first anniversary of Masai Mau forest restoration at Sierra Leone in Block 65.
Na rais hakusema tu ni Masai Mau ambao lazima tuikomboe turudishe kwa mikono ya Wakenya wote. Hapana. Amesema misitu zote za Kenya na chemichemi zote.
The Kenya Association of Driving Schools is appealing to the government to involve members in consultations on how to enhance road safety in the country before rolling out the training of more than 1.4 million border operators countrywide.
We can partner with the Border Association of Kenya. We can sit down and agree that we can charge you this so that we train your people to observe the traffic rules.
Elsewhere in Maralal, Samburu County, over 3,000 liters of illicit brew have been destroyed in Loikas village. Maralal Assistant Chief Selina Lemakara, who led the exercise, says it was unfortunate that the vice is slowly gaining root in the area, wasting away many young people who would otherwise be productive in building the economy.
Tumeona pombe imeongezeka na hakuna vile tunaweza kumalizwa na corona at the same time tunamalizwa na pombe.
Meanwhile, in Kiambu County, the government of France has enrolled at least 200 children in the region to learn French. French ambassador to Kenya, Alice Lastam, says the move was initiated to equip children with knowledge of another foreign language.
French is also a well-spoken language in Africa, and we, as the French embassy, with my team, we are promoting this kind of initiative.
And in Kiambu County, Deputy Governor Joyce Wanjiku says cases of gender-based violence within the county have reached a worrying level. The Deputy Governor claims the vice is mostly affecting men, many who have been left traumatized after being ejected from their property. At the same time, Kisii County has been rated one of the leading regions on sexual gender-based violence and female genital mutilation. Speaking during sensitization workshop, lawyer Jeremiah Soire revealed 5 cases of gender-based violence are reported weekly, while the county ranks 3rd nationally with the most cases of FGM. Finally, Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Zach Kinuthia, has urged youth in the country to embrace courses offered at Technical and Vocational Training Institute in order to acquire skills needed for the country to achieve Vision 2030. He was speaking during an inspection tour of Mandera Technical Training Institute in Migori County.
The stigma that has been associated with the technical training, with vocational training, must come to an end. We must have a shift of mind for young people if they want to change their lives and earn decent lives.
And across borders, President Uhuru Kenyatta has sent a message of congratulations to his Tanzanian counterpart John Pombe Magufuli following his re-election. The president said the win demonstrates the love, respect and admiration Tanzanians have for Magufuli's administration and is an endorsement of his plans for the prosperity of Tanzania.
John Pombe Magufuli is the president-elect in Tanzania. Magufuli won re-election in a landslide victory in a polls that the opposition say was a sham, a position dismissed by Tanzania's National Electoral Commission. In its final report, the NEC said the president took 84% of the votes, while Lissu received 13%. An observer mission from East Africa Community said the elections was conducted in a regular manner. Elsewhere, polls are set open in Ivory Coast controversial presidential election. At least 14 people have died since riots broke out in August after President Alassane Ouattara said he will run again following the sudden death of his preferred successor. The main opposition candidates Pascal Affi and Henry Konan said it is illegal for Ouattara to vie for a third term. They are boycotting the vote and have called for civil disobedience. And finally, in a final burst of campaign, U.S. President Donald Trump and his Democratic challenger Joe Biden have crisscrossed Midwestern states that may hold the key to the White House. Biden went on the offensive in Iowa State, whereas Trump made a play for Minnesota. More than 85 million people have voted early, 55 million of them by post, setting U.S. on course for its biggest voter turnout in over a century.
If we didn't get the funding from Equity, the COVID pandemic would have been a big hit to us.
Next on.
I wanted a man in my life. He swept me off my feet. He had the vibe.
Were there relatives of yours? Did anybody ever sit you down and ask you, Angela, what are you doing?
Yes, if you are 40 years old and you've never married or you don't have a child anywhere or anything, you don't have a story, then there's something you're hiding.
We say if you want to be helped, join Equity.
Unajua nini mama? Niko karibu kwenda shule. Na sitaki kuwa na stress kukuhusu.
Kristi, hebu rudi shuleni.
Wewe enda mtuwakilishe sisi wale tulishindwa na masomo vipoa.
When Angela and Christy meet at the university, their bond somehow clicks.
Dad is somewhere up there in the sky on his way to China. I'll never forget when he took us to Singapore. Wow, it was fun.
Followed by a friendship that would defy their parallel backgrounds.
Since umezoea shower, good luck inside there.
How's this door shut?
Kuma bezi nuko mwisho ishikilie mlango kwa frame.
This new territory presents all manner of fasts as influence, temptation, family histories, and peer pressure set in. The rest of their lives become a story of love, survival.
Wait.
Please, mom, kubali tu story tumalizane twende home.
Influence, backstabbing, jealousy, and revenge.
Nimeambiwa tu kule stage muonekana na minji fulani mkikama hapa mtaani.
He decided to sneak from the hostel and go to Ray's studio without consulting me or Tiff.
Join us on Tempted the Campus Diaries as we explore this hilarious, never-seen-before drama.
Hebu nilipe pesa zangu wewe.
With a touch to behold. A story of temptation.
We need this win, Wanjala. You have to win.
They are fearless, yet friendly.
I hope hauna machungu after ile game ya mwisho.
I'm allowed to be concerned about you, Wanjala. I'm your wife.
I will take good care of you. Fierce, yet fair.
Pa combo sasa. Pop. Soza kidogo. Pop.
Firm, yet faultless.
You embarrassed mom. All of us.
But it would be nice if someone would look out for me too.
You don't listen to me.
Because you always want to tell me how to...
Jemo unadu nini hapa?
You are embarrassing me.
Ina lobi mimi siwezani nayo.
Kona, Kenya's daily drama.
Taina train yatona muhimu sana kwa life yangu. Kwa hivyo vile mimi nafanya hapa ni upuzi.
Naweza kukusaidia kujua ni akina nani?
Mimi siwezi chukua msaada kutoka kwa Saitani.
What is this?
It's a make or break chance.
Your fun, fabulous, full team of Kona. Every fine weekday, right here on KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back. It's time to play, and we begin with Kenya Premier League, where Kisumu All Stars took a first leg advantage to keep their Kenyan Premier League hopes alive after beating 2-1 Mumias Sports Complex. All Stars will now head into the second leg, which will be played on the 3rd of next month, with an advantage over the Vihiga County side.
Nashukuru wasaidizi wangu, tulivyopanga imekuwa na tunashukuru Mungu. Tactics lazima zikuwe juu tuko ugenini, na ukijaribu tu kufungua game hivi kidogo taumia.
Nilikuwa nimetarajia ushindi kwa hii game ya leo, lakini sasa wapinzani wenzangu walipopewa penalty dakika 3 ilimeharibu kila kitu, mpaka hata ile game yetu nisicheza ikapotea. Kumekuwa na stoppages nyingi sana, pia nao imerudisha game ikakuwa chini mpaka haikuwa entertainment.
Betting company Milestone Games Limited has been dealt a major blow in its ambitious effort to operate under SportPesa's trade name after the government barred them from using the name in Kenya. The Betting Control and Licensing Board said in a letter addressed to Milestone Games Limited that the company violated regulatory protocols by using the SportPesa trademark despite seeking approval from the agency as Milestone Bet. Board Chairman Cyrus Maina, while making the announcement, said Milestone Bet Farm has no authority to use the trademark until an appeal case in court by SportPesa is heard and determined.
SportPesa, which made an exit after a row with the government over stringent betting taxes that hugely weighed negatively on them, had stated on Friday that they had acquired a new license and have resumed operations in the country. But the Betting Control and Licensing Board has warned Kenyans not to be conned and lose their money, as the said betting firm is set to resume operations within the country.
The gaming operator Milestone Games Limited informed the board that in addition to the use of the trade name SportPesa, the company will also utilize the various domains, pay bills and short codes earlier used by MS Pivans Limited, SportPesa. The board responded to their letter of 30th October 2020 prohibiting them from using the said trade name SportPesa, the various domains, pay bills and short codes previously used by MS Pivans SportPesa. Despite this prohibition, it has come to the attention of the board that the licensee Milestone Games Limited went ahead to publicize their operating name, domains, pay bills and short codes.
Milestones Games Limited is said to have been allowed to use the SportPesa trademark and continue with operations, but according to the board chair, SportPesa belongs to Payvans East Africa Limited.
The board has suspended the operating license of Milestone Games Limited and has asked the Communication Authority of Kenya, CA, to shut down the said domains. Further, the board has directed Safaricom PLC Limited and Airtel Kenya to shut down the pay bills and short codes currently being held by Milestone Limited.
Milestone Bet has been given the authority to operate under trademark Milestone Bet and not SportPesa.
In addition, the board has requested the IG, the Director NIS, the Governor CBK, the DCI, the FRC, the KRA to investigate any evasive acts within their respective mandates and conduct financial tracing to prevent further violation.
Frederick Muki for Channel 1 Sports.
And elsewhere, the Kenya Defence Forces KDF volleyball setter Veronica Kilabat has said she is eager to show impressive performance when the Kenya Volleyball League new season begins. Kilabat, who joined KDF from the Kenya Pipeline last year, says her dream is to play for the national team despite not being named the provisional Malkia striker squad that will feature in next year's Olympic Games.
Mi kwangu binafsi nataka nikuwe best setter. Season ikianza niyo ushindi natarajia. Ile unit moja, yani kuwa pamoja na wale wenzangu to train poa. Then after training tunatarajia matokeo mazuri mbele. Hiyo natarajia sana. But sasa ni lazima utie bidii, mazoezi nyingi ndio achieve hizo, ka kuenda ng'ambo, kuwe kati ya wale players wazuri.
Moving on, Kenya defensive midfielder who plays professional football in Rwanda, Emmanuel Onyanja, has said he has no plans of playing for Kenyan teams, but he dreams of a national call-up to Harambee Stars. Onyanja signed a 2-year deal with Kiyovu FC, which finished in the 5th position on the Rwanda Premier League last season.
23-year-old Emmanuel Onyanja is currently the only Kenyan footballer playing professional football in Rwanda.
This will be my second year in Rwanda. Life ijakuwa si ati ni easy. Kila mahali life ni tough, but nile tu kukazana.
The defensive midfielder started his career with Kenya School of Law in 2012, where he featured for the team in National Super League. He was then signed by Ushuru for 6 months in 2013 before having stints with Moroni Youth in 2014. In 2015, he played for Kakamega Homeboys before being signed by FC Leopards the following season. After the end of his contract with the Leopards, Onyanja joined Bidco United on loan before moving to Rwanda to feature for Kiyovu FC.
Pale iko more tactical compared na hapa, unapata tunatumia nguvu sana. So at least nimelani vitu mobe tactical na bado ile nguvu, so zote nimezicombine, so at the moment neza move on well nazo.
Asked whether he would be willing to come back to play for Kenyan teams, this was his response.
Kila mchezaji ako na ambitions zake, lakini kimimi neza sema mi ndoto yangu ilikuwa sana kutoka nje, manake Kenya nimekaa kwa muda mrefu, so labda hiyo itakuwa ya usoni, lakini Mwenyezi Mungu tu anajua.
However, Onyanja's dream is playing for national team Harambee Stars. Kiyovu finished in the 5th position on the Rwanda Premier League last season with 35 points, having won 10 matches, drew in 5 and lost in 8 matches out of 23 league games. Frederick Moki for Channel 1 Sports.
And still on soccer, the Kenya under-20 national team, the Rising Stars, has checked into camp ahead of the upcoming Sekafa under-20 championships. 27 players are set to undergo the mandatory COVID-19 test on Sunday, alongside members of the team's technical bench as the team kicks off preparations for the junior regional showpiece.
The best players are all over the country, but the selection is still open because there's some position that for sure we need to get some players. Considering that last time in Sekafa we finished as runners-up, I still believe that we still need to get more quality, especially in the half of the opponent. Of course, that is attackers, number 10, number 7, number 11, number 9. as well as the keeper, because the team that we had last year, of course, I can say that it was very strong in each and every position.
Nimekuwa nikipray for that transition sana. So sasa imekuja, last time iliniata kidogo, but sasa imekam. So mimi na feel poa, ni growth poa kwa kila mchezaji, na mimi kwangu sasa personally na feel ni improvement poa kwa football yangu.
Further afield, Kyle Walker marked his 100th English Premier League appearance for Manchester City with a goal against his former club as Pep Guardiola's side beat Sheffield United 1-0. The right back, who came through the ranks at the Blades, struck midway through the first half with a superb long-range strike. Meanwhile, Chelsea ruthlessly hammered Burnley 3-0.
Walker, shot and a goal! And what a special goal that will be for Lot to him.
Yeah, great shot. Is not in the way of Ramsdale. You see there, goes past him, takes a slight deflection of Osborne. But it was a lovely strike by Kyle Walker into the back.
Be able to get, Loughton and tackle. This is Werner, cuts it back. Abraham beginning to come alive. Oh, the goalkeeper completely wrong-footed. And Ziyech scores again. 2 in a week. Beginning to come alive. Oh, the goalkeeper keeps it well away from the goalkeeper. Oh, perfect header from Zuma. Thud, have that. Well, it's a magnificent delivery, and they do possess power. Said a couple of times Kurt Zuma, a young man at the Chelsea training ground, some of his heading was quite extraordinary, and that is an extraordinary header. Werner. Ziyech, Werner onside, Werner. It's a fantastic 3 for Chelsea. They are ripping Burnley apart. This is a team that is taking shape. It is taking shape. It's a poor giveaway. Reece James does brilliant, feeds inside Ziyech. Service into him. Now, normally they get a lot of ball in.
And on that note, we wrap up Channel 1 Weekend. Don't forget to catch up with the game against Manchester United and the great team of Arsenal. They will be playing tomorrow in the evening. But on that note, we wrap up Channel 1 Weekend. But don't go away. Irene Chuma Odim is coming up next with the latest weather. And don't forget, keep safe, keep clean, keep the distance. And I always say, keep the faith. We'll trounce this. I'm Ben Troy Njue. Byron Abuli has been our sign language interpreter for this evening. Good night.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to Channel 1 Weather Updates. My name is Irene Mchuma Odem. Now, apart from what we have mentioned in this bulletin in a news item in regards to the heavy downpour that is being experienced in Ethiopia, this is something that will continue and spread across the country during this month. It is the peak of short rains, and the short rains begins from October through to November and also in December, and thus we need to take precautionary measures. This is a result of intertropical convergence that is taking place in Ethiopia, and thus the heavy downpour affects the river, that is River Dawa, and that will spread through to Mandera and cutting across through to Somalia. Tonight, there are rains in Meru and Embu. There are showers accompanied by thunderstorms in the county of Kisumu. The northern parts of the country and the coastal strip are currently experiencing scattered showers. The only region that is experiencing dry conditions is the southeastern lowlands and is covered with partly cloudy conditions. And that is how the night will be. Tomorrow, waking up to rains in Meru and Nyeri during the morning hours. It will also rain in a few areas over the northeastern parts of the country. The northwestern will mainly be sunny, but areas around Samburu will experience wet conditions. It will also rain in Kitale and Eldoret during the morning hours. The western sector, Kisumu, Kakamega, Bungoma, Kitale, will largely experience sunny intervals, and for residents over the southeastern lowlands, even for you in the county of Nairobi, expect sunny intervals to dominate the morning hours, but in the afternoon, there will be showers in Meru and Nyeri over a few places. The northeastern will also experience rains during the afternoon hours, and there will be showers accompanied by thunderstorms in areas of Nakuru and Kisii during the afternoon hours. The coastal strip will experience scattered wet conditions. There will be rains over a few places in Garissa. Let's have a look at temperatures, and they have slightly gone up. In Nairobi, we're expecting highs of 23 degrees Celsius. Mandera will experience highs of 33 degrees Celsius. And for you in Lamu, let's look forward towards highs of 30 degrees Celsius. Let's now cross the borders and have a look at the international forecast. Dova, good night and God bless.